UFC London Fight Night, Evloev versus Murphy takes place this weekend, and I'm pretty hyped for this, and I figured we'd go ahead and give my predictions for this card. Now, again, kind of like the last few cards, the names on these, especially with the prelims, are not that strong, but if you know, you know. We got a lot of debuts on this card, and there are a lot of good fighters on here. So let's go ahead and jump in with the early prelim opener, not prelim, not early, just prelim opener of Melissa Mullins versus Luana Carolina. This is a re-recording because my cats opened my door while I was doing this fight. I'm taking Melissa Mullins probably by decision. She's obviously pretty even when it comes to the striking with Luana Carolina. Both women have high output. You know, they do take a bit of a shot to give one, but that's women's MMA. But the grappling definitely favors Melissa Mullins. Way better takedown defense if Carolina tries to get her own, and she has way more offense than Carolina by a few country miles in a sense. And I think she's probably going to mix it up. We see a lot of times with women's MMA and men's MMA when there's two strikers. Typically, the one that has the grappling advantage is going to use it to implement grappling, and then that in turn forces their opponent to be a bit worried of the grappling, which lets them strike easier, lets them find bigger openings, fake a takedown, throw an overhand right. It might land better than if you never got a takedown in the beginning of the fight. And I think that's pretty clear, cut and dry. We're taking Melissa Mullins by decision on this one. Let's go ahead and move on to Chanel Dyer versus Ravenna Oliveira. This looks like Chanel Dyer's debut. Her opponent, Ravenna Oliveira, is obviously coming off of a loss, but has quite the experience. Chanel Dyer's 0-1. That can't be right. How do you get a debut? Jeez. Hold on. Give me a second here. Chanel Dyer. UFC. Because I need to see the Tapology odds on this or something, dude, because this does not make sense. Sorry, a little mid-video detour. We're going off screen here. Okay, no, so she has wins. The UFC just refuses to populate that in. I mean, this is a pretty close fight. I'm not going to say that I have a set prediction based off of what I already know. Clearly, you just saw me look that up. But I think Chanel Dyer looks like the one that's going to win this one. She obviously has way more output. Her opponent is also coming off a loss. Usually, when people are taking on debutants and they're coming off, like, and the person who's taking on the debutant is coming off of a loss, they're usually just kind of a lamb to the slaughter. And I think we could see the same thing happen here. Chanel Dyer's probably going to come out, get her striking off. I don't know if she's too much of a grappler, but she looks like she can put some hands on you, and I think she's probably just going to win by decision. If she has the power, I could see her putting away Ravenna, but nothing crazy there. Both these women are relatively the same size, so I don't think grappling is going to be too big of a problem. I understand Oliveira has a bit of a background there. It kind of runs in the name. But I think if Dyer has good enough takedown defense, I think the power and the output should get her the respect to keep the distance between her and Oliveira. Sorry, I just clicked on her. Didn't mean to scare you like that. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. I don't know why they do this. Whenever they have Contender Series photos, like, they're very gray lit. Like, there's not a lot of color. And then when they do this UFC photo shoot, there's all this great lighting. It's warm lighting. So they need to update some things for Chanel Dyer. They got to get her a better picture and some better stats. But we're taking Chanel Dyer by decision. Let's go ahead and move on to the Shem Show. Aye, lad. A bit of a patty spawn in. Shamrock versus Abdul Karim Al-Sawadi. Now, I'll be honest, Kareem Abdul obviously is like a decent, well-rounded guy. He's got some striking, he's got some grappling, and he did lose his last fight. I don't recall how. But I know that Shem has gone up against nothing but killers in the UFC. He went against, I think it was in his last fight, Nurilo Aliyev. I can't remember how to pronounce it. He's like from Tajikistan, but Nurilo Aliyev, I think it is, who's a very good, like kind of a dark horse at 155. The guy barely fights, it feels, so he doesn't have a lot of momentum behind him. But he's kind of from that Dagestani region. He's got the beard. He's got very good grappling mixed with pretty good striking. He was putting it on Shem, and Shem's not known for his striking. He's an elite grappler. But I think in this matchup, I'm going to pick Shem, in all honesty. I understand hometown advantage. The lights will be probably bright for Al-Sawadi. You know, the UK, despite their mix-up right now, they always have a good chant going during the fight, probably one that Paramount's not going to be too happy with. But I think we're going to see Shamrock win a decision here using his grappling. Does he find a submission on Abdul? I think if he tires him out throughout the first and second round, maybe with like making him carry his weight or ground and pound, which forces Sawadi to move and find better position, which in turn gasses you out, I think he could find a finish here. But we're going to take Shem by decision using his grappling, but don't be surprised if he gets a sub. I understand he's had one, maybe two rough outings, I think. I think he's lost 2 fights at this point, or maybe just his debut, but I trust in the Shem Show, and I think you should too. So let's move on to the next fight. Louis Sutherland versus Brando Pericic. What are the odds on this one? I don't quite recall. Now this is a tough one because I'm actually a fan of Brando. I don't really remember too much about his fights, but I saw one of his videos on Instagram and it made me laugh my ass off. So, fan of him there. But Louis Sutherland, the Vanilla Gorilla, he was a good like fighter. In did he come from PFL or was it Cage Warriors? I can't recall it, but he went against Walter Walker and he lost. But Walter Walker's really good, man. I don't know if a loss to Walter Walker is that bad. That's the thing. Here, I got to do one more just because I don't want to make a stupid prediction and get it wrong. Um, what does Brando do that well? Does he grapple? Takedown defense 100. Neither of these guys like to grapple. Are they strikers essentially? I think so. What are the odds on this? What do people? Jesus. Okay. No, I think I have my pick here. Well, who are the odds? Okay, no, I think I have my pick here. Yeah. Sorry for that second detour. I'm getting a little bit unprofessional here, but I think the skewed landed per minute chart kind of tells you everything you know. Louis Sutherland clearly does not ever rely on his grappling. We saw that against Walter Walker, and I think if this stays on the feet, which it probably will, judging by the physique of these two men, I think Brando's going to find a KO, probably a volume KO, TKO maybe, or just win a violent decision. But I think that size, 6'5" compared to 6'3", he's got a bigger reach. He's more aggressive. He's only tasted loss once, so he still feels confident in himself. I think Brando Pericic is going to get this done by finish in round 1 or round 2. This is probably going to be like a fight of the night, swang and bang type heavyweight matchup, unless Louis Sutherland randomly decides to grapple. I understand this could be skewed from the UFC not really populating data, but I don't think Louis Sutherland's a grappler at heart. Otherwise, we would have seen him do a lot better against Walter Walker, and I think this says everything you need to know. Both these men are here to chin ya, and I can't wait to see this, but I'm taking Brando Pericic by knockout. We move on to Montas. I'm not even going to try that. Actually, I'm going to try it. Contradivicius versus Antonio Tricoli. I don't even know anything about this guy as his debut, but I know who Antonio Tricoli is. We're taking Montas by KO. Let me see if he's actually a submission artist, because I'll pick that instead. This is obviously his debut. They got the weird gray lit scale, no UFC gloves, probably coming off the Contender Series or maybe a tough season. Jesus. This could be either, dude. We're just going to take finish. We're going to take Montas by round 1, if not round 2 finish. I don't think this is where we see Antonio Tricoli randomly become a fraud check guy. He looks pregnant in this photo for some reason. If you know Antonio Tricoli, you know he's a victim. Don't let these stats fool you regardless. He could have 0 takedowns, and I'd probably think that he would beat Tricoli. Tricoli, he has no chin, he has no striking defense, and he has no gas tank. Once he's tired, dude, he's easy pickings. Was it Shara Bullet who took God knows how long to chin him? Or that might have been someone else when he was gassed. But I don't even know anything about this guy. We're going to pick him by finish. Antonio Tricoli is a victim. He's a Rafael Caquera off-spawn. And that's my pick. We move on. Mario Pinto versus Felipe Franco. Now, this is going to be a close fight on paper, even though you don't even know who Felipe Franco is based on this. I think this might be his debut. Mario Pinto's sliming him out. Mario Pinto, I think, is an undefeated fighter. Yep, 6'6", huge reach, full of muscle, and he likes to find these shots here. Let me just show you these strikes. Dude, pretty good. Pretty damn good for a heavyweight with that output. I think he's going to find a KO here. Obviously, there's a bit of grappling on Felipe Franco's side, so I could see him trying to survive early. But Pinto's got counter grappling. Pinto's got offensive grappling. He's got defensive wrestling. He can, stop these takedowns. Both these guys, I don't think, have ever been taken down in their career, so I'm curious to see how this happens. But when it comes to striking, as much as these aren't going to show you what I think this will, Pinto's sleeping him, bro. Even though these stats haven't populated in, look at the average fight time. Look at the average knockdown per 15 minutes. The grappling negates itself. I think you have to take Pinto by finish here. Round 1, honestly. Maybe round 2 if Franco really gets his grappling off. But we're taking Pinto to win by KO. We move on. Nathaniel Wood versus Losim Kita. Now, Nathaniel Wood is fun, dude. I don't remember the name of his last fight, but I remember that fight, and he was a dog. I think he lost the first round, got his nose busted open, came back in the second and third, toughed it out, got a decision. I really do respect Nathaniel Wood, and I think he's a very good fighter. And as much as I kind of don't respect Kita for missing weight against, who was it, Ige or Pitbull, and then trying to clown him for not taking a fight. Dude, Kita's good, man. I think he's a double champion from the regional promotion. I don't know if he's from Octagon or another one, but 16-1. His stats haven't populated, but I can't remember his game, what he does best. Probably not submissions based off of this. The dude's filthy, though. He's clearly an aggressive striker, and he doesn't like to lose. He's probably very defensively sound. And Nathaniel Wood kind of struggles. Nathaniel Wood obviously has a very good career, and in the fights that he wins, he makes it close. That's the thing. And I think against a prospect coming in, clearly he's got a lot of hype behind him. I've been seeing him all over Twitter this week. I think Lucien Keita gets it done. Does he finish Nathaniel Wood? If he finds the shot, he could, because Nathaniel Wood does get dropped every now and then, and he does take quite a bit of damage in his fights. He's durable as hell, but he's always kind of a second away from a finish in some moments. I think we're taking Lucien Keita. Now, by decision or by the finish, I don't know. It really just depends on what Nathaniel Wood brings that night. If he, packs his chin, packs his heart, I think it goes to the decision. If he gets sloppy, thinks he's in, hometown territory, the lights might be too bright for Keita, I can see Keita sleeping him out cold, man. Or TKO. Sorry. I could see him TKOing him. It's heartbreaking as a Nathaniel Wood fan, but Lucien Keita's got hype, man. This would be a hilarious fraud check if Lucien Keita did all this shit to Pitbull and then just got the shit beat out of him by Wood, but I don't think that's going to happen. So we're taking Keita. I'm not going to say by what, just because it really depends on Nathaniel Wood. Which one do I lean more, I guess? Probably a finish. We'll take a finish from Lucien Keita. Let's go ahead and move on to Mason Jones versus Axel Sola. Once more, I'm a filthy casual. Axel Sola, nothing really too special about the guy. What is he? French? Yeah, he's a French fighter. He has no limbs, apparently, according to the UFC. The guy must be pretty new. He's undefeated, and that makes you want to pick him. But when you look at what Mason Jones is, he's a marauder. Mason Jones, super aggressive. He's gonna come forward. He had a tough last outing where he, rallied back and got the win. I think he got dropped in that fight, or at least took significant damage. Both these guys, pretty much the same type of fighter, but I think who has more heart and who has more grappling to rely on. Sorry if I'm looking over here. I switched to my my horizontal mount setup, so my UFC page is right here. My OBS is right here. So I think I'm going to take Mason Jones in this one. He clearly just has more grit, has more grappling in his back pocket. And again, I think if he tries to get that grappling off early, or even at any point in the fight, Solo's going to have to respect it, going to have to address it, going to have to kind of calculate those risks when he's going for feints or big shots. And I think Mason Jones is going to capitalize. Do I see a finish here? I don't know. Do I see a war? Absolutely. We're taking Mason Jones probably by decision. He could find a finish here. Let's go ahead and move on to the main card. Danny Silva versus Curtis Campbell. Now, I didn't mean to click on it. Danny Silva, not terrible, 10-2. He is coming off of a loss. Kind of a strong finisher. He's got KOs. I think 5 of them it said there. But you don't know who this guy is. This guy, he looks like a... It's like with his glasses, he looks like the unassuming nerd emoji. Without his glasses, you can't tell what he's looking at. But regardless, don't be fooled by this guy's demeanor. He's a killer. Danny Silva, your time for the slime has come. Curtis Campbell, this is his UFC debut, but he's a guy from London. He's the Pink Panther. He can strike. He's got kind of an orthodox striking, but it's his ground dominance. He'll strike on the feet, and whether he's having success or not really having success, he's going to find an opening to take you down. And maybe not with the perfection or the smoothness of Khabib, but the raw aggression and consistency kind of matches when you look at both of their ground and pounds. Curtis Campbell's a guy that'll take you down. He's going to look to land big shots. He's going to look to get to better position, side control, mount, take your back. Ground and pound, you get your hooks in, look for a sub. He's done it all on his regional promotion and whatnot. And I understand he's a bit smaller here, but I think that favors him if he gets in close, can dig his head into Danny Silva's chest, really make it, nasty in the pocket there for him. And I think we're going to see a finish from Curtis Campbell. The guy's obviously got a lot of hype behind him. I think he's going to live up to the moment. Danny Silva's good, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say fraud check here. Maybe this does go to a decision just because Silva could survive, but I think Campbell's got too much hype, man, and this being in his home country, you got to feel good. These UK guys, they really do show up when it's a hometown advantage. A lot of people do shit the bed, but not UK guys. I feel like they deliver more often than not. Aspinall did it. Patty did it. And I think Curtis Campbell's going to do it here. I think he's going to find a finish over Danny Silva. Could it be in the grappling department? Yes. Jesus Christ. It's bleeding through Danny Silva's stat. But could he threaten him on the feet and knock him out or even hurt him to a TKO? 100%. Don't sleep on Curtis Campbell. The guy's a phenom. He's a demon. His record isn't loading in here, but I think he might be undefeated. He might not, but regardless, the guy's a killer. We're taking him to win by finish. We move on. Roman Dolidze versus Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD. We're gonna take CLD. We're gonna take Christian to win. Roman Dolidze just hasn't looked great, man. His last showing against Fluffy was abysmal. Regardless of whatever injury he had going into that fight, he got toyed with like a little kid. Fluffy literally dragged him into a rear naked. It was hilarious. Unless Dolidze's excuse was that good and he comes back and dominates Duncan here, we're gonna take Duncan. Duncan obviously around the same record, but I think he's a bit younger than Dolidze. Dolidze's pushing 40. And while neither of them are really grapplers, it's the striking that favors Duncan. He's got way more power. I think he's bigger. No, he's the same in this matchup, but his frame really shows in this fight. He's a very athletic big guy. Clearly got the reach advantage on Dolidze. I think he's just gonna outdo him over the fight, man. I could see a finish here. Sorry, my mouth's drying up. Dolidze just doesn't roll well with shots at times, and if you really start to put volume on him, I think he could wilt. And we're probably going to take Christian Leroy Duncan by decision or like TKO. I don't know if I see a Hail Mary submission here from either man. I just think Roman Dolidze is a bit over the hill. Christian Leroy Duncan, he's an aggressive, lanky guy. He finds shots, obviously. He's got power behind him. But he can also pull off a decision or gut it out for the distance. But he always wants to look for a finish. And I take that in a guy who's going against Roman Dolidze. We're taking Christian Leroy Duncan by finish. Probably later rounds. I think Roman Dolidze might be a bit gun shy and try to grapple early in this fight. And we're going to see Christian Leroy Duncan have to deal with that. And then eventually force Dolidze up to his feet once he gets tired and probably TKO. We move on to the feature fight of this card, I believe. Yeah. Right? No, this is... Yeah, okay. This is the feature fight. Sorry, let me... No, it's not. I'm going to shut up. Iwo Baranowski versus Austin Lane. If you know anything about this fight, anything about these fighters, you're taking Iwo. No question about it. Austin Lane is a guy that's constantly just a can to be crushed by anybody. I don't care if he's former NFL. I don't care if he's 6'6", heavyweight with an 80-inch reach. The dude can't fight. He's sloppy. He gets chinned. He has some grappling, but it's not great. And look at this. Granted, this is probably skewed from his fight against Ibo Aslan, which was a fucking banger. We're just about to witness a sliming, dude. We're about to witness... This is probably going to be Austin Lane's retirement fight if he's not cut. I understand Lane lives by the sword, dies by the sword, but Iwo is way more calculated. I think Ibo's a tougher fight than Austin Lane. I think Iwo's about to have a field day. He's going to find the chin. 6'6" versus 6'0". That's prime haymaker spot. If your chin is 6 inches higher than my head, I guess it technically wouldn't be, but if the top of your head is 6 inches higher than my head, then your chin's like right here to me. So any punch coming over is just gonna land. And I think that's exactly what we're about to see. Austin Lane has been chinned on multiple occasions. The guy is not known for having a brick chin, taking quite a few losses, and I think this is another one here for him. We're taking Iwo by round 1 finish. We move on to the feature fight. Jesus. MVP versus Sam Patterson. This one's kind of a heartbreaking one because I'm a huge Sam Patterson fan. The guy's looked great in recent years. He's had a lot of submission wins. He had a TKO win. Very, very good grappler, which he could use to win here. But I gotta take MVP, dude. And it's not because I like MVP or I think he's gonna chin Sam Patterson here. I think he's gonna do his boring karate stance where he jumps around, jumps in once a minute, lands one strike, and jumps out. I think that's what it is. MVP style is like that. It's karate point fighting. I'm going to call it boring. If I call Dagestani grappling boring, I have to call that boring. One strike a minute. Michael Venom Page, I think Guru said it best. You can't look away, but you're not missing anything. Every second looks like MVP's coiled up, loading, ready to land that big shot. He's calculating. He's finding the time. He's going to go for it. And he just never does. And when he goes, he doesn't land anything big. He typically just lands one good shot and creates air traffic and gets out. Now, Sam Patterson, if he can get in close, if he can cut off the cage, MVP circles really well. He's a long, lanky guy. He uses his range. But Sam Patterson's the same size as him. He's not going to be a short guy running to catch up with the footwork of MVP. If he can cut off the cage, if he can get close, he can land. And he has power, but I think he can clinch. And if he can clinch against MVP, he can push him up against the cage, peel himself off to his back, pull him down to the ground, and I think he can start to maul him. Now, do I wish that's what happened? Like, would happen? Kind of. Do I think it's what's going to happen? No. I think MVP is going to have another point fight where he jumps around. If he finishes Sam Patterson, great. That's a bit heartbreaking because I am a Sam Patterson fan, but I think MVP is going to do what he does best, land one shot a minute, stay on the outside, float around. We saw it against Sharp Bullet, and I don't think there's much Sam can do unless he finds that grappling. But please prove me wrong, Sam. Let me get this pick wrong. We move on. And we are taking MVP by boring decision to Luke Riley versus Michael Aswell Jr. Now, this is kind of crazy. Luke Riley just had his debut, but hometown hero, they're going to put him there. They have a lot of confidence in him. Michael Aswell Jr., obviously, he's been around a bit. Not too much of a grappler himself. He's middle-of-the-road guy. Obviously, Luke Riley's not getting anything crazy in his second fight. But he's game on the feet, and that's where Luke Riley shines, is on the feet. We saw it against Bogdad Grad. He got held down for the first round, said it was super boring, and then chinned him out cold in the second one. I think we're going to see an exchange on the feet here. Neither of these guys really go for any ground position. They do have they have mid takedown defense, but I don't think either man's going to be looking to take each other down. And despite the output favoring Aswell, I think Riley has the power, and he's going to find that shot. Hometown hero, he's got all the hype on him. He's probably going to have Patty in his corner. He's undefeated. I have no reason to believe that he's going to lose. I don't think Michael Aswell Jr. does anything special. It's going to put him away. Exactly the same level of reach. Nothing really crazy in the foot department. Same height. I don't think either of these guys is going to put on too much weight come fight night. But I think Luke Riley's just going to have a bit more power. He's going to be a bit more active. I think he could put away Michael Aswell Jr. here. We're taking him by decision, though. No, we're not. We're taking Luke Riley by finish. Fuck am I talking about? We move on to the main event of Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. I'm Chris Hansen. Have a seat. I'm just kidding. If you know, you know. Oh, this is tough, man. Somebody's O has got to go. And as much as I want it to be Movsar's O, I think it's Lerone. It's heartbreaking. Shout out Walnut MMA. He knows. He's a UK fan. He's gonna be there. Go subscribe if you haven't yet. Lerone Murphy is fun in moments. He had that very good win over Aaron Pico where he kind of caught him with a spinning elbow in his most recent fight because Pico was being very aggressive coming in. But before that, Lerone Murphy was kind of a decision guy himself. He was just doing enough to get by. And if you know Movsar Evloev, you know what I'm about to get into. This guy has had 9 straight decisions. And granted, his fights are typically a mix of everything, high-level grappling, chain wrestling, striking, damage on both sides. Like, he makes a fun fight, but a finish is what really cements a fight, being remembered as being fun. And Movsar doesn't do that, man. I think he's just going to grapple here. As much as his numbers, honestly, are a bit smaller than Lerone, it's the takedown that I think Lerone's going to have problems with because Movsar is sticky and he can chain wrestle if you get out. So if Lerone is able to shuck him off the first time around, Evloev's going to look to get it again. Now, would I be happy if Murphy pulled out a win here and, got a finish over Evloev or beat him by decision? I'd be very happy. I think Lerone Murphy would give a very tough fight to Volk. I think that'd be a fun matchup. Australia versus UK, police versus criminals. No, I'm joking. But Movsar Evloev has been on a tear. He's beaten guys like Arnold Allen, Aljamain Sterling, former 135 champion. And that's consistency that you can't ignore. As much as I don't like his style, that's consistency that I cannot ignore. And I think I have to take Movsar Evloev by decision. We're going to see 5 rounds of chain wrestling and grappling with some striking. I understand he's a bit of a smaller opponent. And while he is aggressive, I don't think he's aggressive enough for Lerone to find a counter. Please prove me wrong, Lerone. I don't have much to say here. I think that's the consensus take. A lot of people are picking Murphy out of heart and loyalty and, UK banter and wanting to take him. But objectively, when you sit down and you look at this fight, and Lerone could pull it off. Lerone always has a chance. But when you look at this fight and you go 100 times out of 100 times, who's going to be the more consistent winner? I think it's Evloev. And that hurts me to say. But that's my pick. We're taking Evloev by decision. So, again, sorry for having to do some middle-of-the-card research here. Again, if you knew who Felipe Franco was off the back of your hand, props to you. Are you like MMA Guru watching my channel or something? Because there's no way in hell that any casual viewer, or even somebody who kind of knows a bit about the sport, is going to know too much about some of these names. But I digress. I'm just coping here. This will be a good card. This will deliver. I'm a bit disappointed. I think we're going to continue the main event decision streak. We haven't had a finish since UFC, was it 320? Pereira versus Onk 2, I think it was. It is what it is, man. I hope Murphy proves me wrong, but I think Evloev's going to get it done here. And I think Evloev versus the winner of Volk Gene Silva is next. I think they're going to do Volk Gene Silva for International Fight Week. Who knows? Thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments who you have winning the main event and maybe why. If there's something I'm missing here, please let me know. I'd love to have some conversation with y'all. See ya.